Thank you. Um, Thank you for the organization inviting me over. So today I'm going to share some thoughts about the European market and some barriers you can come across when you enter the European market. The EU it is one market, but it still has many differences between the countries. You have several languages, and some of these barriers you will encounter when you enter the EU market will be covered today in this session. Just in a nutshell about myself, I'm Sander Berendsen. I was born in 1994, and I started my e-commerce business in 2010 in the garage of my parents. I've been an internet entrepreneur since 2010. I am a graduate from Tilburg University and the University of Melbourne in Australia. And I'm the founder of SB Supply. And SB Supply is an e-commerce company engaged in the online sales of accessories, gadgets, and gaming equipment. Furthermore, I'm also engaged in some other businesses in the Netherlands. So let's kick off with the kind of e-commerce potential. And I took some figures from 2022. What about it's kind of called a GDP. It's not the gross domestic product. It's not the combined gross domestic product, but it's the revenue generated online. And So and then about the population of the European market, it's about 600 million people and internet users, and we have actually divided here Europe in several regions, and internet usage still differs part of Europe, and also online shoppers. This is an average in Europe, but for example, as you will see in the next slide, the percentages are slightly different across the regions. So let's go on. So if we divide Europe in these kind of regions, Western Europe, Northern Europe, Central Europe, and go on, what can we see then? And what are some takeaways from these specific regions? Still Western Europe encompassing over 60% of the revenue. Still, the biggest share of that pie is in Western Europe. If you think about it now, the biggest potential is there. However, the time is changing, and especially the southern countries are catching up. And it is very interesting to take these markets into consideration as well. Eastern Europe is still behind. Northern Europe is very well matured actually in the market, so it even has the highest internet usage among the people. However, the market is relatively small. So just pointed here them out again. So some opportunities. Western European, more mature. However, the competition is also fierce. Germany is known in the market to have actually the lowest price level of products in the EU. Because it is the biggest market, it also has the most competition going on. So that actually puts a price pressure on the price. On the other hand, southern countries tend to be upcoming, but they also still have some less merchants online. So that can have some advantages for you as a brand, as a producer, to do with. Then Eastern European countries still, I need to say, they have some strong presences of local marketplaces. We will come along these later on as well, such as Allegro and eMAG. These are the local Amazons in these countries. As mentioned before, Northern Europe, it's an interesting region, but it's a relatively small region. It is a rich region though, so it has a high purchasing power. It's well developed, but the drawback there is as well that they have some smaller languages, Danish, Swedish, Finnish, and yeah, if you want to deal with that, the good thing on the other hand is as well that customers are able to speak English fluently, and they accept product information in English as well. However, they also have some other currencies which can make it a little bit more trickier. So partnerships. If we talk about like online business e-commerce, the kind of time has changed. In 2010, if you wanted to start an e-commerce business in the Netherlands or wherever in Europe, it was a go to start actually to start selling via your own software, creating your own website, a web shop. However, nowadays it's more common to start selling your product via a marketplace. But what is now the best strategy to take? Is it selling via a marketplace, or is it selling via your web shop, or even both? I just wanted to tell a little bit and to emphasize some pros and some cons of the marketplace. A marketplace can attract many people. It has a potential and it's a lucrative opportunity. Because the marketplace, Amazon for example, invests heavily in marketing, and you don't need to do it by yourself. However, it also can have some risks. So one advantage that you also don't need to take is this financial risk, because a web shop is a way more expensive than than joining a marketplace. And a marketplace nowadays, Amazon has FBA, could offer you these logistic services as well. So you can actually it's quite easy to onboard, also for Chinese companies via a trustworthy representative in the EU. You can also onboard on Amazon. So it's easier to get started. A kind of pro and a con, customers are very loyal towards a marketplace. People are familiar with Amazon Prime. In the Netherlands we have, for example, bol.com, and they also have their own kind of subscription model. Bol.com Select, they call that. And these customers are even more loyal towards the marketplace because they get other incentives as well. For example, Amazon offers Amazon Prime videos, you have storage, it's all included in the package. And people are kind of captured in the Amazon atmosphere. So if you want to offer, if you want to reach out to these loyal customers of Amazon, you need to actually use their marketplace. However, a marketplace has also cons. And actually we have faced this situation some years ago. And it's gone to your head, like the report, what you say, that actually some Chinese brands were banned from Amazon. And maybe you're familiar with the Aoki example. Aoki was a brand that was banned from Amazon because it was not compliant to the review rules of Amazon. And if you heavily rely on Amazon only, and they will block you off, you have a big problem because you're out of business. And actually, it's a marketplace. It's very important to have reviews and to get as many reviews and as good reviews as possible. However, giving kind of not the right incentives for customers and coloring a little bit outside the lines, it's not the best way to deal with a marketplace. And actually, Amazon is very strict on that. So the marketplace has the power. So in my opinion, it's better to share actually the pie and work with several marketplaces and your own web shop. Also, competing among competitors is more difficult on a marketplace because there are many competitors and everybody wants to be on the first page. Like that hasn't changed actually with Google. It was always a nice saying, what's the best page actually to hide a dead body? that's the second page of Google, because nobody looks there. You know, and that's actually the same on a marketplace. You don't want to be on the second page. Nobody is going to check products there. You want to have that first, the first line positions, the first page. Also, there's a kind of lack of brand awareness on a marketplace, and you could more emphasize that brand awareness on your own website or store, for example. And the customer base, because it's actually the customer of the marketplace. It's not your customer, so you can't do some win-back mailings, or you can't do a follow-up mailing, because it's not your customer. It's the customer of the marketplace. So, what about these marketplaces then in Europe? Okay, everybody is here familiar with Amazon, but there are way more. Because Amazon started in the US and then entered actually after some years the German market. And in Germany, it's still the biggest. It's the biggest marketplace because it's had that first mover advantage. However, in some other big economies in Europe, it's not the biggest marketplace. For example, in Poland, Allegro, which is a local marketplace, is the biggest. And Amazon is trying to compete at the moment with Allegro, but is not able to do so because still Amazon Poland is not that big as Allegro. We have the same situation. I said before, I'm originally from the Netherlands. We have bol.com. And bol.com is still the biggest marketplace in the Netherlands and in Belgium. And it has a very loyal customer base. So if you want to get started, with your product in the Netherlands or Belgium, you need to take into consideration selling via bol.com as well, because otherwise you are missing out a part of the audience. Cdiscount, it's still big in France, but actually Amazon has taken over the role of being the first marketplace in France. Then we have eMAG. There's also an interesting growing marketplace, originally from Romania. However, it's also getting bigger in the countries in the proximity of Romania. And it's interesting because, for example, it offers also special payment methods, such as paying cash, which is still more used. People are more used to it in Romania. Then we have Kaufland. Kaufland is originally, it has changed during the years a little bit from name. It has been Hitmeister, Real, Digital, and now it's known as Kaufland. And it was taken over by the supermarket chain Kaufland in Germany. So it has customers that are very known with that supermarket chain, and that's why it's getting more popular at the moment. And very interesting, a new one, that's Mano Mano. It started in France, and it's getting bigger across several countries in Europe. And it's growing rapidly. That's why I've put it on the slides, and it has a relatively good reputation also in Google. And if you want to sell your product, if you want to market your product, you need to be there where your audience is. Then about price levels in Europe. The EU is maybe one market. However, there are price differences, and sometimes there are quite big price discrepancies. So this is actually a basket which is analyzed by Bird, a logistic partner in Europe. And maybe you think, okay, there's only between Germany and Spain, there's only a 150 euros difference in the basket. However, this is an average, an average basket, and it can consist of the items that have been named after the slides, like a laptop, a tablet, etc. However, if we narrow this down to, for example, one product, there are some huge price differences between the countries. So maybe you are selling, I would say, a gaming chair. We are here in the hall of the gaming chairs. There can be a completely different price in Germany for the same product than it is in Spain. So here you say you see the difference, and of course there are differences in VAT. We need to take that into consideration. The VAT rate in Germany is 19%, whereas the VAT rate in Spain is 21% at the moment. So that doesn't actually allow us to have that big difference, that's only at like 2%. And actually this is a difference of 25% in selling price. So this has also to do with the lack of competition in certain product categories in a certain market. But this can be interesting for your product. If there is a lack of competition in a certain market, you could higher your price, and you, for example, in Germany, you could lower your price, and you still have an average price which is interesting for you. Just something to take into consideration. There is one EU market, but it's not a market such we know as the USA is. Compliance and localization. Of course, there are many languages in the EU, and sometimes there are even several languages per country. That's something you need to take into consideration. English is not always the way to go, especially in France, where there are even laws that require you to have certain information in the native language. Also, there can be local preferences for certain brands. Like new legislation has come into action, such as the EPR rules in Germany, in France. These are Lucid and ADEME are the systems that are used in these specific countries. And you need to comply with these rules regarding packaging. So the carton you use, you need to make a report of that. Because we want to reduce the waste we bring into the market. Then we have the electrical waste rules. And, for example, brand registration, which is important. This session is too short to touch down on all these subjects, but these are important to take into consideration. And if you want to sell a product via marketplace or your own web shop, especially via marketplace, you are even required to get a registration with the EU IPO. And also local payments. If you deal with marketplaces only, okay, that's not something you need to take into consideration. But if you want to launch your own website, web shop, this is really something important. For example, in the Netherlands, we have our own payment methods, which is ideal, and it's directly linked to your bank account. It's used among most of the Dutch consumers. If you think, okay, I will put only credit card online, most of the Dutch consumers don't even have a credit card, so you cannot even sell to them. If I think about Belgium, they have Mr. Cashbank Contact. Go on. Also, paying in installments is getting more attractive for consumers. So, for example, if you want to offer Klarna options or so. Okay, then we have some customer preferences. Okay, we have the language again. Product reviews, as mentioned before, you can give customers incentives to collect reviews, but please color inside the lines. Don't give rewards if they leave a positive review, because then you know what's going to happen, and that's really something which is also not allowed in the EU anymore. On-time delivery, fast delivery, think about local carriers, Deutsche Post in Germany, DHL, a B-Post in Belgium. They are not all the same. Return policy, in some countries, it's forbidden to do not offer the option, for example, for free return. It's actually mandatory to offer that possibility. And yeah, of course, the local payments again. Also, it's important if you, for example, offer high-value products, that some people prefer the option to pay actually in installments. Distributing in Europe, okay, you can work with European warehouses. Just take into consideration the VAT rules again, because you need to have a VAT registration within Europe. There are many warehouses in Europe. And you can also take advantage of the marketplaces in Europe for fulfillment options. So you have the fulfillment by Amazon option. For example, bol.com has an option as well. And within the EU, you have free movement of goods. So if a product is in a certain country, it's very easy to transport it from one country to another. However, for every country where you have products stored, you need to have a VAT registration. Also, that's just an example here with the prices. If you take advantage of the fulfillment options of marketplace, you sometimes also get an kind of better position. And for example, here you get that select label, which makes your product outstanding. And also, what's the best country to import with in? For example, do you need to prepay your VAT on imports? There are some exceptions in some countries in Europe. I'm not a legal expert here, but there are countries where it's better to import in than some others. Now, then we are going to look at the future outlook. E-commerce is going to grow steadily. New legislation is coming about packaging and sustainability. That has already been covered in the previous sessions as well. Return processes are going to be optimized because still e-commerce also comes with a high rate of returns. People have got used to the fact to return products, to order products they don't need, going to check them at the house, and then going to send it back. It started actually with a kind of the Zalando effect. People order like dresses in several sizes, several colors, and actually 80% of the order is going to be sent back. That's not a sustainable process. Popularity of online marketplaces is about to rise. People are loyal towards marketplaces, so they are important to take into consideration. And of course, the consumers like eco-friendly products as well. And as said yesterday as well, you need to get started. And you need to try. And sometimes you lose, but actually it's not final. You know, you can learn from it. So it represents the opportunity to try again with more knowledge and get better. And that's something I want to give you for a takeaway. Good luck on your business, and thanks for your attention.